Mike Elias stated during the 2022 trade deadline media scrum that the Orioles were finally in liftoff mode. For the first time in nearly 5.5 years, the Orioles were competing for playoff baseball. Now, in the year 2024, the Orioles have still yet to win a playoff game in 10 years, and in both playoff appearances were swept. Now the Orioles have lost a major free agent in Corbin Burnes to the Arizona Diamondbacks and are now set to lose another key free agent in Anthony Santander. In this video, I'll be talking about how I would build the Orioles going into next year and how I would set the team up for a future World Series run. If you are new to this channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, like and comment on the video, and let's get into this video. Now, for the Orioles to be successful in the year 2025, you need to have a solid pitching staff both in the bullpen and in the starting rotation. I do think the Orioles go back to a 6-man rotation next year, and I do think the Orioles will make a couple moves before the season starts. Now, these moves are not going to be the most enticing moves. Obviously, the first one is kind of an interesting signing, but I do think the Orioles go after someone like Jack Flaherty. They have been linked and rumored to him all offseason. Apparently, there is mutual interest between both the Orioles organization and Flaherty himself. So I do think they get someone like Jack Flaherty to kind of complete the middle of the rotation with Eflin, Rodriguez, and now you have Flaherty as a 4, and then you have Kramer and the new signing, Tomoyuki Sagano from the Giants in Japan. He will be the 5, and Kramer will be the 6. So now you need to find a 1 or a fringe 1 that can give you wins and give you quality starts every once in a while. That would be one of 2 guys, either Dylan Cease or Luis Castillo. Now, I do think the Orioles go with the cheaper option in Luis Castillo. I do think you can get him for a price of Ryan Mountcastle and a lower tier prospect. I will put that on the screen right here. And this move benefits both teams. The Orioles get their pitcher that they desperately need, and the Mariners get their first baseman, which they've been searching for quite some time. And here's what the pitching will look like after the trade. So now you have Luis Castillo as your kind of fringe starting pitcher 1, Zach Eflin would be the 2, Grayson Rodriguez the 3, new signing Jack Flaherty would be the 4, also new signing Tomoyuki Sagano the 5, and Dean Kramer would be the 6. Now, depth. The Orioles would need some quality depth. I don't think they need to go out and get anybody else, as they have guys like Cade Povich, Chase McDermott, Brandon Young, and Cade Stroud to kind of fill out that young core. Also, Trevor Rogers, and I did bring back John Means for a kind of 1-year prove-it deal, which would be minor league, but I would personally like to see John Means back, and I do think the Orioles will bring him back in that minor league deal aspect as a quality depth piece to the organization and the rotation. Now, the bullpen. The bullpen, I think, stays the same outside of 2 names. You add Tanner Scott in free agency, and you move Albert Suarez from the rotation last year into that bullpen kind of long reliever role where if we need an inning or 2, we go to Albert Suarez. Now, the Tanner Scott move, I do think the Orioles need to go out and get a quality left-handed pitcher because Jeff Hoffman is looking to be a starter, and Danny Coulomb, who the Orioles did not pick up his option for in the offseason, they will be looking to get a quality left-handed pitcher, and obviously, Tanner Scott is the best relief pitcher right now in the market. And if the Orioles aren't going to spend in the starting pitching category, they should at least look towards the bullpen, which last year in the second half kind of just fell apart. Now with Felix coming back, and if the Orioles do sign someone like Tanner Scott, this would set the Orioles bullpen up to be one of the best bullpens in the MLB. So those 3 moves right there would solidify the bullpen and the starting rotation for me. I don't think the Orioles need to go out and get any more hitters, maybe some depth in AAA, but as you can see on the screen here, this is what I would line up against both right-handed pitching and left-handed pitching. Now, the lineup is the same. Kobe Mayo would be the first baseman both sides. The infield would stay the same both sides as well, with Holiday, Henderson, and Westberg batting both sides. I do think Urias, Mateo, and Rivera would be subbed in every once in a while, but that should be the main core of the infield going forward. Now, the outfield, I do think gets switched up a lot this year. Obviously, O'Neill is going to get his reps. I do think he gets 100 games in this year, and I do think we use him a lot. This is not a full lineup, but I do think O'Neill gets used a lot more against right-handed pitching, and I do think the Orioles let Rutschman DH against left-handed pitching next year. They did bring in Gary Sanchez, who I do think will get some quality time for them. Until Samuel Basallo maybe is ready, I don't think he'll be called up this year, but if he dominates AAA like he did Bowie last year, like he did Aberdeen and Delmarva before that, I do think we could see Samuel Basayo at catcher, maybe first base. We'll see. But I do think the Orioles have a very solid lineup. I think their lineup is set in stone. I do think that Hyde will continue to platoon his guys, but I do think the lineup that we have is set. And unless an injury happens in spring training, those are the guys that you will see in the lineup every day. So the Orioles, they are a couple pieces away from being a serious threat in the American League, which right now, as things stand, the Orioles, in my opinion, are a top 3 team in the American League, just off the lineup alone. The lineup 1 through 9 next year should be amazing, and it should be a very good lineup. The only problem is the pitching, and if they address the pitching, they get 2 quality starters and that top quality arm like Tanner Scott, I do think the Orioles can make a serious push for the World Series next year. Now, can this team compete with the Dodgers? We'll see. I think they can 1 through 9 pitching. It's going to be hard, but again, this 1 through 9, when fully healthy, will make some serious noise, not only in the regular season, but in October. And that's where the Orioles need to shine and show up in 2025 is October. Because we've seen it the last 2, even 3 years, the lineup has played very well in the regular season. But when October turns the corner, the team does not look the same. And that is hopefully something that changes this season. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know down below what you think about the moves I made. Only 3 moves, but I think the Orioles have a prime shot next year to make it to the World Series with how weak the AL is if they just make those 3 simple moves. So, again, let me know how you feel about that. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you like sports content, mainly Orioles and Ravens stuff, we might post some Wizards and Capitals stuff every once in a while. But if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, comment, whatever you got to do. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys.